you know, cash is king is an old metaphor, but the truth of the matter is, it isn't.
Let's break down everything about payments at the moment, though. What's the biggest challenge that needs to be solved? Because I was looking back at some of the old Sibos things that have been kind of brought up before. There's a lot of similar themes and similar problems that are still being solved. What is there still to be solved that just hasn't been solved yet that should be?
Well, let me put it another way, because the kind of problem is, payments is old, right? Whether it was bartering 3,000 years BC, or it was coins about 1,000 years ago, or it was cheques in 1659, or ACHs in 1968. The truth of the matter is, we have what was once a best practice, but we support them all. And so what that means is we have a myriad of ways of doing exactly the same thing. So, I could pay you with, paper money, I could pay you with check, I could pay you with, an immediate payment, but they all do the same thing. They're just a transference of value for a service or a good. And the problem is that we haven't got rid of any of the historical ones. We still do checks, we still do coins. So actually you have 5, 6, 7 ways of doing exactly the same thing, and every bank has to support it. And it's kind of a problem because some of these things are antiquated and none of them are digital. And we live in a digital world, and in 1995, Negroponte wrote a book called Being Digital and what it meant. Passed the payment industry completely by. And so we are a pretty old legacy industry that we need to change. We're an analog business and we need to move to a digital business. We can't move to a digital business with 7 different methodologies of doing exactly the same thing.
And there are so many ways to send money, isn't there? There are so many ways.
And some of them are easier, quicker, and what have you, but they all do the same thing, and the cost of maintaining them is just too much. It doesn't add any value.
Do you think we could ever change that? I mean, on a individual human level, I think there are some people who will fight. Ron Del Nevo, I'm talking about you, who will fight tooth and nail to always be able to use cash. Equally, my gran will always send a check. Do you think there's any way to actually change humanity's thought perception around which payment method to use?
Do you think cash is still king?
No.
There we go, there it is.
Cash, cash is king to some people, but it's also another person's money mule. It's another person's fraud motif. It's another, terrorism methodology or use of society. And the things that you don't see about cash are it effectively abuses the most risky people in society. And so, cash is king is an old metaphor, but the truth of the matter is, it isn't. And it has many bad practices, and actually it's very, very expensive to run. So people like it because they like they can be anonymous. They don't have to be accountable for their actions, or think they don't. But that's not a good way to run society.
No, that's something that's often overlooked. Is cash is not free. The transaction cost is hidden, but even if you're running a restaurant or whatever, you go to a bank, you've still got to pay to have kind of access to bits of cash there. You've got that time, that opportunity cost. There's a lot more to it than just kind of put a fiver in your back pocket. I'm looking at you, Andrew, as a hairstylist.
I mean, to be fair, back in the day, the tipping world, obviously, it used to be able to do that, but we do everything through system now, so it all goes through tax. So we can't get away with that anymore. Yes, all changed. No, you can't. We literally all goes through my company tips. Can't really.
There.
Sadly.
Let's talk a little bit about your work at Finastra. What exactly is your sort of role on a day-to-day, and how does that relate to the field of payments?
So